You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society. And now, in Disney.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome in another rockin' awesome Saturday night up here in New England. I hope it's nice where you are. We got a beautiful night up here. Sad to hear about all those tornadoes in the South and the Midwest. What a terrible situation. Our heart goes out for all of those people. Well, there you have it, and welcome in to JW World News. Well, we've been doing this now for 16 years, every Saturday night. We have never missed a Saturday night. We are here because you are here. I mean, really, people need to talk to other people when they're getting out of a cult, especially the Watchtower. You know, you can be one sad soul. Years ago, before the internet, years ago, before these conference calls, you'd be one sad soul being just fellowshipped or kicked out of the Watchtower. You wouldn't know who to talk to. You would feel like committing suicide. Many people have. But we're here tonight to talk. This is live. This is in real time. Nothing's edited here. What you get here tonight is actual people calling in from all over the world have voiced their opinions and their concerns on what goes on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. And boy, there's so much going on. Who would ever think you could be doing a news program for 16 years and always have plenty of critical, negative news to talk about concerning the Watchtower organization? Well, I'm glad you're with us. We're coming to you from the apostate capital of the world, as we say. That's up here in Boston, Massachusetts. And the reason why I say the apostate capital of the world is this is one of the first places that many apostates showed up and came from. And they're going to be coming to a neighborhood near you as well. Hey, listen, there's plenty of Jehovah's Witnesses leaving the organization right now. And a lot of them, what they call PMOs, an acronym for physically in, mentally out, PMO. A lot of them are just going in a perfunctory way. They're going on the Zoom meeting. They're going in service, but just to get by the dread of perhaps being shunned and displaced among friends and family members. Boy, I'll tell you what, this is an evil organization, but we love to talk about what goes on. You know, some people say, Rick, do you have an obsession? What is it with some of these activists? Can't they get the Jehovah's Witnesses out of their minds? Well, friends, this is such a heinous, evil organization. No, you can't get it out of your mind. I wish there was someone around like myself or other people that are on YouTube, Lloyd Evans, JW Escape, people like that. I wish they were around years ago when I got out, because they weren't. You kind of had to scrounge around and find people, but now there's so many apostates. My goodness, they're coming out of the woodwork. So we're glad. We are glad that you're listening in tonight. Now you stay with us. This is my favorite night of the week. This is when I get a chance to bring people in from all over the world and they can speak up here in the program. So if you've never spoke up, see if you can't do that tonight. See if you can't speak up and let the world know how you feel about the Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, I'm going to give you a telephone number. Let me just get in here and get the number for you. I'm going to give you this number to call. I'm only going to give it to you once. So if you're listening in on YouTube, if you're listening on Facebook, you're listening on the video suite, on our radio network, wherever you are, here is the telephone number if you want to talk and voice your concerns here tonight. Get a piece of paper, get a pencil. The number is 727-731-6701. 727-731-6701. You don't need a PIN. Just dial that number, then you get a prompt to come in. And when you want to speak up, you hit *6, but you'll hear me say that. But why don't you try to come in tonight? We'd love to have you. Boy, I'll tell you, every week now we've been getting new ones calling in. And it's so interesting to hear people calling in from Scotland, from the United Kingdom, from Canada, from Italy, from really all over the world. So we thank you very much for wanting to come in and be part of our program. Well, let's take a look. Let's see what's going on. Let me see if I can't get our news up here. Just give me a second. Every once in a while, my computer slips and things go a little haywire. But let's get the news up here and see if we can't give you some information tonight that you'll find very, very interesting. Well, I found this story here somewhat interesting. It got my attention because a few years ago, we actually reported on this. Remember all of those fires that they had, Kingdom Hall fires out in Washington State back in 2018 through 2020? Wow, there were multiple Kingdom Halls and 2 assembly halls were actually set on fire in the state of Washington. And the FBI, the ATF, the local sheriff, they were wondering, well, who is it? Who's lighting fires to Kingdom Halls? We never knew, but now this man was caught. As a matter of fact, there was a reward for $61,000. I hope that they do pay that out to whoever was the one that brought this man to justice. So he was arrested, and he is now known as an arsonist. Now, let's just go back. I'm going to play it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play a clip here. Well, let's play you a clip of the news station, and talks about the fires a few years ago, and you can see how intense they were. So let's see if we can't do that. I'm going to share a screen here with you. So let me share a screen, and we'll play it and see if you guys can't come to grips with this and see if that'll bring back some memories on what happened a few years ago. And then I'm going to talk about the man that was actually involved in lighting it on fire. So let's check it out. Let's see if I can get the right clip up here. Let's see, Facebook promo. Okay, just give me a subject here. Just give me a second to get it. I guess it would be ABC. Why isn't that coming up? All right, is it ABC? Just give me a second here, folks. I'm trying to find the right clip. No, it's not that one. Is it this one? Nope. Just give us a second. I'm trying to get this up for us. Oh, here it is right here. All right, so let's share this. I want you to hear it. All right, let's get this big. Let me just make sure that you're able to see this. Let me just check this out. Just give me 1 second here. Well, let's go with it. I think it's all set. You're going to hear it. Oh, for some reason, we're not getting sound. I'm not sure why. Let me just get some sound here. Hold on 1 second. I got some new speakers here, and evidently they're not working here, but let me get some sound in here so you guys can at least hear the clip. I think it's important. This is the fire. This was a few years ago on how Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Halls in Washington State were actually targeted. So let's see if we can't get that playing right now so you can hear it. Let me just roll it back. For some reason, we're not getting sound here. Why? I don't know. Okay, let's try this.
ABC's Ariel Reshef is here with more. Good morning, Ariel.
Good morning to you guys. Authorities are investigating nearly half a dozen incidents where the religious group has been targeted. The sheriff calling these attacks, as you said, hate crimes.
This morning, Washington State investigators calling this shattering inferno at a Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall a case of arson.
More or less, they're terrified of why are they being targeted.
The walls crumbling beneath the flames as firefighters try in vain to salvage the building. Dan Willett says he helped found the now incinerated house of worship in 1976.
It's devastating for sure, but you know, it's just a building. So everybody's safe.
This, the latest in a rash of fires and threats authorities say could be motivated by hate.
It's obviously someone or some persons that are definitely disgruntled with the Jehovah's Witness of Kingdom Hall in Thurston County.
About half a dozen attacks involving arson, shots fired, and a suspicious device this year, all targeting Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Halls in Western Washington. This man, seen buying fireplace logs in July, considered a person of interest. Investigators say he could be the same hooded suspect in this surveillance video from March, apparently sparking this blaze in Thurston County.
We're actually looking to solve the previous crimes, and also we're looking for people, the citizens, to come forward.
The ATF and local law enforcement now on the hunt for answers.
Why is this specific religion being targeted? Why are these churches being targeted?
And no one has been hurt in any of these incidents, but the ATF and Thurston County Sheriff's Office are investigating the latest fire. Officials now offering up to $36,000 in rewards for anyone with information that leads to an arrest. The community says they're very thankful that these are just buildings that are being targeted as of now, but it's still terrifying and devastating.
Yeah, let's hope it doesn't escalate.
Absolutely.
Well, there you have it. I mean, that's the Kingdom Halls. You guys
My work has been viewed by
Remember
100 million
remember that
people.
story
My
we
work
had
helps
about
save
10
lives.
years ago? But anyways, for a few years, that man remained at large, and now we have him brought to justice. And I think it's kind of fascinating that it took a while, but they finally did bring this man to justice. So, do you remember that story at all? I'm just trying to get back to my news clips here. Had a little trouble with the sound on that one, but we're doing fine here. Just stay with us, and we'll get right to the news. Give you the top stories going on tonight in the Watchtower. Yeah, just a one-man operation here. Sometimes it's a little hard getting everything set up, but that's good. We at least could get that clip up. Now, what happened here is this man was caught, like I say, just this week, and evidently someone turned him in, but he was responsible for 7 attacks on Kingdom Halls and 2 assembly halls up in Washington from 2018 to 2020. Now, the law enforcement has identified the man as Michael Jason Lays, aka Mickey Diamond Starrett. So here we have a man that I don't know, it doesn't say he was a Jehovah's Witness or not that burned the hall down. But the law enforcement has obtained electronic evidence, according to the paper that I'm reading this from, right off of the ABC website in Washington. It says electronic evidence shows that accounts registered by Lanes were used to conduct searches of the relevant locations and searches related to the Jehovah's Witness religion. So evidently this guy Lanes, he got online and searched Google and looking for Kingdom Halls and seeing what he could do to try to burn them down. So numerous friends and family members have also reported that Lanes told them that he was haunted. Now, this part is very fascinating to me. Friends and family members of Lanes, the man that burnt the halls practically down, most of them, he was haunted by spirits, he told friends and relatives, that told him to do bad things. They also explained that Lane believed these spirits are the dead Jehovah's Witness relatives of an ex-girlfriend, that Lane hates the Jehovah's Witness religion. So that's a crazy story, but that's written right on ABC News, that he was having these bad spirits attacking him, and he was actually had a girlfriend at one time. I guess she was a Jehovah's Witness, it doesn't say, but he has an ex-girlfriend that evidently had relatives that were Jehovah's Witnesses, and he hates the Jehovah's Witness religion. So he tried to burn the Kingdom Halls down, the assembly halls down. The suspect strongly denies that he did this, but all the evidence is there. All the evidence is there. You can't really deny it. He's in custody right now. So I don't know if I'm getting the whole story on this, to be quite frank. I really, really don't know if I'm getting the whole story, to be honest with you. Because, there's so many instances that we've heard of Jehovah's Witnesses trying to burn a Kingdom Hall down. And not just in this case here. This guy tried to burn, like I say, 7 Jehovah's Witnesses down. And when you stop and think about it, There's many Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Halls that have had attacks by people trying to burn them down. As a matter of fact, one right here in Wilmington, and I'll get to that one in a second. I'll tell you about that. But what I wanted to bring up is I don't think we're getting all of the story here. It's a little mixed up. I think the witnesses somehow wanted to make this guy look like a lunatic, and perhaps he might have been listening to these bad spirits. But I think really what goes on is a lot of smooching over the fact that this guy was evidently really irritated at the Jehovah's Witnesses. It's amazing. Now, I'm never going to encourage anyone to go do something like this, but it really amazes me that there's not more of these Kingdom Halls burned. I'm serious. So it listed all, well, they told you all the different fires, all the different places. I don't have to go over that again. But, well,
the most original motive I've ever heard.
Yeah, well, let me tell you something, Pixie. I got online. I just wanted to see how many attacks on Kingdom Halls have there been over the years. I could not believe it. Just punch into Google Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Halls burned. You will not believe the amount that have been burned. So I don't think we're getting the whole story here. I think the witnesses smooch this over, somehow try to make this guy look like a lunatic, which he would be. You don't go around burning Kingdom Halls down. I'm not saying the guy is sane doing that, but I'm saying he didn't like the witnesses for whatever reason. He did not like the witnesses. And then I looked online. I started looking in more Kingdom Halls being burned down around the world. And just back on May 28th, an insane man, again, they have to say insane man, he started a fire at a Kingdom Hall in Christchurch, New Zealand, nearly burned the Kingdom Hall down. And then also I got another case here of a woman who 2 years ago threw a Molotov cocktail inside a Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses in Glen Burnie, Maryland. And investigators till this day, they don't have a clear motive in the case. Friends, the motive, I believe, is because these people are so ticked off at the Watchtower. The Watchtower breaks families apart. They destroy families. They displace children. They have created so many issues for families as well as just people that have been attached to this organization. And then in 2021, a structure in North Reading, Pennsylvania, also was attacked, or at least a fire. Someone evidently lit a bush outside the Kingdom Hall. The bush started the roof on fire. This goes on and on and on. And also in Niagara, New York, a woman was accused. Well, no, that's not the one. There was a Jehovah's Witness. Well, I guess it was. A woman was actually accused of crashing a vehicle into a Kingdom Hall and starting a fire. The woman was arrested on suspicion of arson following an incident at the Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses. So, yeah, well, there's one there in Niagara, and this is a different one. This was in Kentucky. So it goes on and on and on. So the woman deliberately crashed her car into the Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall, and she put some type of a accelerant, gasoline, whatever it would be, trying to burn the place down. And before she crashed her car into the Kingdom Hall, she was throwing rocks at the building. So, friends, all I have to say to you is this is not totally uncommon that Kingdom Halls get burned. Now, I'm not going to, don't take that. Look, I'm not telling anybody to go do this. I'm trying to just report to you that people do not like what the Watchtower has done to their life. Now, right here locally, in my Kingdom Hall, 5 miles from my studio, someone tried to burn that Kingdom Hall down. Well, that was about 20 years ago. Somebody went up to the Kingdom Hall. They did find the person, and they put an accelerant. They poured an accelerant all over the front doorway and lit it on fire. Fortunately, it didn't burn the hall down, but the man was caught, and his reason for doing it was his sister, became a Jehovah's Witness, and she started becoming like a real cult person. Her behavior changed. He could see it. He didn't want her to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses, so he tried to burn the Kingdom Hall down. I mean, that's not the way you do it. But people are getting ticked. People are getting ticked at the Watchtower and what they're doing to people. And why do you think? I've been up to the world headquarters a number of times in Warwick, New York. And why do you think? Why do you think they have a big iron gate? Now, this isn't tubular steel. This is solid steel gate. Plus, you also, in order to get through that steel gate, you got to go through a guardhouse. And they have to talk to you, and then they will call ahead to see if they're going to let you in. These guys are scared to death. They know how many people they're hurting. They know that they've got some ticked off people out there. And I'm going to tell you something. Kingdom halls will continue to be attacked. And the press is always going to report it as an insane person. Now, yes, you'd have to be insane to light anything on fire like that. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that they weren't mentally sick. But, you know, sometimes people are driven to rage. So sometimes people put in a position that they've been so hurt that they jump out. They make an attempt to do harm to whoever caused this. So we're not
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Yeah, people don't do that for no reason.
Right. And there's never a reason. All of these stories I read, it's always there's never anything mentioned in the article that, they were being shunned or their family doesn't love them anymore. Nothing like that. It's always they were insane,
Sure. You don't hear about too many other religions, their buildings getting burned down and stuff like that. And I'm not saying it's right, it's wrong, but I'm just saying people don't go to that extreme for no reason. They're being driven to it, obviously.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let me just get in here and stop sharing this. Remove. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's it. So that's what I want to bring up tonight. I thought that was interesting because, we never really knew who that person was burning the hall down. But now we do know. We do have a name now behind it. He never was a Jehovah's Witness, according to the story. But there's more to the story than what we see here. He claims his girlfriend's ex-witness, his girlfriend, who I guess she must have been a witness at one time, but her family, he was supposedly in his head hearing their spirits, the dead Jehovah's Witness relatives, tell him to go burn the hall down. That's a strange thing, isn't it? I mean, it's strange to even talk about it, but that evidently is what went on. All right, let's take a look. Let's see what else is going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. All right, let's check this out here. Yeah, we got a lot going on here tonight. And I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but I'm going to bring it to your attention. The United Nations, just this week, just 2 days ago, they put a sculpture out in front of the New York United Nations headquarters, and it looks like the end times beast referred to in Daniel, the 7th chapter, and Revelation, the 13th chapter. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses are going to have a lot to say about this. I'm going to show you a picture of it. You're not going to believe it. You're not going to believe it. But Jehovah's Witnesses, they have a lot to say about this, I'm sure. Now, right now, we know that the woke people, you know what I'm talking about? During this current times, the woke people, well, they want statues taken down of historical figures. And we know that's going on. You see it on TV. They don't want anything that's going to bring back bad memories. I wish the woke people would get on and demonstrate in front of the United Nations building, because this is really something else. So it was played.
Sounds like a wonderful choice. I bet that's going to be some great art.
Well, I'm going to show a picture of it on here. You're not going to believe it, but it was just placed there this week, and it resembles, like I say, the end times beast from the New Testament book of Revelation. Now, I'm not going to get spiritual on you here tonight, but I wanted to bring this up. So this is supposedly, this statue And boy, it is ugly, but it does look like a Watchtower drawing. Really, some of the issues, some of the images we saw, some Watchtower looks just like it. But anyways,
They have a little ladder where you can interact and climb on top.
No, they didn't. But this is supposedly they're calling this statue a guardian for international peace and security, and it's and it sits on the visitors plaza outside the UN headquarters. So what I'm saying here, there's a lot into this that perhaps is not being stated. It's like a conspiracy thing. Seriously, I don't want to get too conspiracy. We'll wait for Reese to come on next week. But something's not passing the smell test here. I'm going to put a picture up. If you're on Facebook, I want you to see the picture. Let me see if I can't get in there and get that picture for us. Let me just take a second.
You know, about 5 years ago, Katy Perry came into the Grammy Awards stage riding a mechanical beast. And she is a minister's daughter, so she knew exactly what she was doing.
Oh, yeah. Well, let me put this up so you guys can see it. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. I think it can be big enough here for you. Let me share this. Let me get back into my YouTube, and let me see if I can't share this picture with you guys so you can see it. So you'll be able to get an idea what it looks like. It's an ugly picture. I mean, it's like a Watchtower. It really does look like something right out of Watchtower art. So let's.
Well, all the Christians know about the beast, and the UN knows what people say about him.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Just trying to.
Rick.
Yeah.
What's your YouTube channel again? Because I want to see this picture.
All right. It's just go to Rick Farron. Try Rick Farron, and it should.
Rick Farron YouTube.
Yeah, try that. See if it comes up. If not, I'll give you something else to go to. Yeah.
Is there a live stream? Are you live streaming right now on YouTube?
Yeah, I'm live streaming right now. Yeah.
Okay. I'll take a look. Thanks, Rick.
All right. Well, for some reason, I can't get the crazy picture up, darn it. What is going on here? I want to share something.
Oh, there's a free comedy on YouTube called Idiocracy.
Yeah. Well, let's see what we got.
It's about a guy that goes into the future. I think the ex-witnesses would find it hilarious.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Hey, this is Chuy. You know what they're going to do? That's going to be on the next front cover of the Watchtower. The time of the hand.
That'd be good.
It more than likely is.
It's bad. It's too bad Angela Merkel is retired because, you know, the coin for the EU, the other side of the coin is a lady riding on a beast. True.
Yeah. Well, let's get this up. I think you guys can see it now. Should be able to see it now if you're on if you're on YouTube. Well, there it is. That's it. What do you think of that? I mean, look at that thing. The beast, just like the prophet Daniel wrote about in the Old Testament. And the Apostle John, he wrote about it in the book of Revelation. Daniel said, and I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of heaven strove upon the great sea, and four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse from one another. The first was like a lion. Well, that looks like a lion, right? And had the eagle's wings. Well, that's exactly what that picture looks like. Has the eagle's wings. And the Apostle John described the beast with similar features in the New Testament, Revelation 13:2. He said, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. I mean, did they really think they could put this statue outside the United Nations without anybody really noticing it? Yes.
Hi, Rick.
Yes.
This is Carrie Kay. And this is the first time I've chimed in ever, but I see a post here on Twitter about that, about the statue, and it says a guardian for the the International Peace and Security sits on the Visitors Plaza outside the UN headquarters. The Guardian is a fusion of jaguar and eagle and donated by the government of Oaxaca, Mexico, and is created by artists Jacobo and Maria Angeles. I just wanted to chime in and let you guys know that.
Well, thank you. No, so what do you think the witnesses are going to think of this?
I think they're going to read into it a little bit more. But the very fact that it doesn't have, like the 7 heads of the Book of Revelation, or the beast, it's a little bit different. And I don't know, I would have to look more into these 2 artists and see what other kind of work they produce. To kind of like read into what they are all about. There's another picture, somebody standing next to it, but I'm looking at some of the Twitter feeds on it right now. So I'll chime in if I find anything else. How about that?
Oh yeah, do that. Yeah, no, good to have you call in too. Really thankful. Yeah, we appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Well, I'm trying to put this up so people can see it on our. Let me see if we can't get that up so you guys can see it on our. Just give me a second. I'm going to turn the screen here. I want you guys on the video suite to see if you can see it. So I don't know. See if that's any better. All right. See if that's any better. All right. There it is. Can you guys see it on the video suite? Somewhat you can. Yeah. So anyways, I think the witnesses are going to have a heyday with this. I really do. They're going to say, oh, look at that. Oh, this is Babylon the Great. Oh, my goodness. So that's what I think is going to happen here. But the witnesses are always going to take it. They're never going to let a good crisis, as they say, go to waste, right? They're going to jump all over this.
Hi, Rick.
Yes.
Hi, this is Chewy again. Yeah, they're going to say the time is at hand. Prophecy is being revealed right before our eyes. Peace and security is at hand.
There you go. Oh, they're going to love this one. That's going to be the talk. That's going to be the talk of the town and the witnesses this week, I'm sure.
So, Rick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I took a look on your YouTube live stream there. So that's running along pretty good there. That's kind of neat. Glad you got that going. And I saw the picture. So, yeah, it was interesting what the young woman that just chimed in a minute ago, she said where it came from. So that's one of the state governments of Mexico has donated that to the UN. And it's there are big eagles in Mexico, and there are these panthers or leopards down there, subtropical or tropical leopards, and they have in their mythology this beast, but it says right at the top that's CBN that's posting the post that you're copying. That's CBN, which is the Christian Broadcasting Network. So no doubt other people who believe in the Book of Revelation are wondering what the hell is the matter with the UN that they're actually doing something like this. And as Pixie said, they know that religious groups think that they're part of the problem. They're New World Order or whatever. So it's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, the witnesses, like you said, they'll be saying, "Oh, see, they're putting the wild beast up there, saying who they are." So it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out.
Right. Well, they're going to take advantage of anything like that, Brian. So that's good. Well, I'm glad you were able to get into the YouTube okay by just putting Rick Farron YouTube. All right. I was just wondering if you got in okay. All right. Well, let's take a look. Let's see what else is going on. Yeah. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is just not a coincidence either, but the color of that beast in front of the United Nations, it has been painted in the LGBTQ colors. Well, what do you think of that? I don't know why that would be. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up. This is all new. It's been reported this week, like the sister called in from California. It's the new United Nations sculpture. This is where the witnesses are going to go berserk.
Rick.
Yes.
Yeah, Rick, don't tell Reese Don't tell Reese about this. He'll go bananas.
Oh yeah. Oh no, this could he could put legs all over this one. But as you said, Brian, the new United Nations sculpture is actually representing peace and security. Oh my goodness. Oh, every time we heard about that being a witness, geez, we went nuts. Oh, Armageddon's coming. It's right around the corner. Oh, this is going to really feed into the witness narrative, really. So I want to bring that up. Because even though it's not totally related to Jehovah's Witness news, they're going to be talking about it. We're going to be talking next week about what they're saying, too. Well, anyways, you're on JW World News. That's the news the Watchtower doesn't want you talking about, but we're talking about it here tonight. And we do it every Saturday night. So thank you. Thank you for wanting to come in. You're on Facebook. Sometimes we do have, I'm just a one-man operation here. We're broadcasting on 4 different networks. So sometimes I can't get things done as fast as I want. Sometimes I've got 6 computers going here. So sometimes, one of them messes up or whatever. So just bear with us. It's live. It's unedited. People are going to call in. We don't edit anything. What you hear, it never gets edited. It'll be put up on the SoundCloud. It'll be put up on YouTube. We don't take anything down. So I want you to hear it in its rawest form. And we're one of the only channels that does this, really. We don't screen anybody. People can call in from wherever they are. Well, let's talk about this. The governing body is trotting around basically with this new light doctrine. And what is this new light? It's popping up all over the place. A lot of witnesses are saying, well, what is the new light? We're hearing this. Many witnesses are speaking about it in the congregations. Well, I'm going to tell you what the new light is. It's a new light doctrine. And what it actually encompasses here, this is a doctrine to get more adoration and more praise to the governing body. Yes. Now, I'm going to play a clip from Samuel Hurd at the annual meeting back in October. And we played it before. But the reason why I want to play it again is I went back and took a second look at it. Something is not right. Samuel Hurd was on this, and you'll hear the clip. We'll put the clip up. But Samuel Hurd was speaking like a real buffoon. And, sometimes I think about cult leaders, and he doesn't seem like one. He really doesn't, because he doesn't have any charismatic way about him. He speaks very low, and he's not really energetic. But Samuel Hurd gave a talk at the annual meeting back in October. I believe it was October 2nd, 2021. And what it was he was saying that God, Jehovah, is going to be taking the anointed, that is the governing body, to heaven before Armageddon comes. And what Hurd was saying is they're going to be taken to heaven so they can participate along with Jesus in coming back and killing all people that don't want to follow Jehovah. Basically, that's what the talk was about. And it was very, very disturbing to me. And I'm saying, why would the governing body now even bring this up? Why would that talk even be of any significance? Why even bring it up? It was sick. So it's a new concept that the witnesses are now learning. I'm going to call it new light. It's basically a new concept. And it's that the governing body, and of course the rest of the anointed too, even though they don't highlight that too much, but they're now saying that the governing body and the rest of the anointed will be part of Jesus' immortal militia. They're going to be part of the militia that's going to come back and defend the other sheep after they're gone to heaven. So they're going to come back and fight against injustice, against Jehovah. I'm going to play the video. Let's play the video, and then we can make some comments on it. But let's get right in here right now. I'm going to play the video. What I got to do is I got to share it here, which I can do, share screen. Going to share it over here. All right, so now we're going to share the screen. Let me just see where it is. Okay, right here. And this is Brother Herd. So let's see what he has to say. Let's see what Brother Herd has to say. Let's make sure the volume is on, which it is. Turn this up here. All right, Brother Herd, what are you saying? What are you saying about coming back and fighting?
Are called, chosen, and faithful. At that time, it will be the resurrected anointed. So when the anointed are called to heaven, one of the first assignments is to fight. Yeah. Now that's interesting. Some of us were fighters before we became true Christians. Some even served in various branches of the military. Didn't they, Brother Morris? Some were Green Beret, not Brother Morris. But then we became Christians. We learned the way of peace and we let go of such warfare. Figuratively speaking, we pulled the pin on our last hand grenade and tossed it into the air, killing no one or nothing. Just a loud ka-boom. But in heaven, we will serve along with Christ and his holy angels, waging the final war against God's enemies. So if you've ever thought that you might feel left in the lurch after the anointed are taken to heaven, think of this. On earth, none of us Christians are allowed to fight. Many of us anointed ones are too old to fight, even if we were allowed to. But in heaven, we will be mighty, immoral spirit creatures, fighting alongside our warrior king, Jesus Christ. Believe me, we can and will do you significant more good in heaven than we ever could as imperfect humans here on this earth.
All right, well, there you have it. That's Samuel Herd, governing body member. And, well, he's got this new concept. You know, they're going to go to heaven, the governing body. And as I say, they are now saying that they're going to be involved in Jesus' militia coming back down here and defending the great crowd and certainly killing people that are opposing Jehovah. So this poor old fool, I hate to call him that, but I'm going to, was carrying on how these old men are now going to be mighty, immortal spirits being brought to heaven. So these mere men are going to now be mighty spirits of Jehovah. Now, on the surface, I know it sounds innocuous. It sounds harmless, right? It's not likely to give offense or arouse strong feelings of hostility. It's somewhat inoffensive. It seems that way. But these are delusions. These are delusions of a few nutty old dudes who've existed in an echo chamber of pure wackiness for decades. But there could be much more insidious reason why they are preaching this, why they are saying they're going to be taken out of here before heaven to be able to fight with Jesus and his armies. The thing that gets me thinking about Herd, as I said earlier, he doesn't seem like a cult leader, but he is. You know, he doesn't have that charismatic way about him. He's somewhat dull. Now, what concerns me when the governing body uses a phrase like, "We will become mighty, immortal spirit creatures," that has a profound impact on the psyche of the average rank and file Jehovah's Witness. Wouldn't it? If you were still one of Jehovah's Witnesses and you heard the governing body use a phrase like, "We will become mighty, immortal spirit creatures, wouldn't that have an impact on you? Wouldn't that really sink into your psyche and say, wow,
The whole thing's wackier by the day.
it is.
And you gotta see this comedy, Idiocracy, because it's about what Earth will be like in the near future. And it's a comedy and it's hilarious. But the stupid factor with people now is getting more and more.
Pixie, I don't in any way discount what you're saying. It is getting crazier as we go downstream. Yeah.
And it's like they're playing on that. They're counting on a stupid factor amongst their rank and file, amongst the people they're converting, amongst the planet at large. And that's what I was saying. This comic filmmaker has made this film, and I started watching it. I watched the trailer for it, and I said, I've got to see this, and it's free on YouTube. He made the comedy Beavis and Butthead, and now he's got this live action Idiocracy. I guess the movie's been out for a few years, but all of a sudden it's gained new popularity because the comedy of it is mimicking how nutty our world's getting.
Hey, Pixie, this is Carrie.
Yeah.
Hi, I love that movie.
Okay, so you've seen it.
Yes. Oh, yes. My husband and I have 3 grown sons, and we died laughing when we saw it.
Well, when I saw the trailer today, I thought every witness would love this movie because in like this end-time political thing, and the people are getting stupider, and this guy comes through the time machine at the Costco, and they want him to be the president.
Exactly. It's hilarious. I would totally recommend it for people to watch it. I agree. I think that Sam Hurd he's delusional, and he's feeding delusion to everybody else, and it's becoming really, well, it always has been delusional, but it feeds on the delusion, and the people really do believe the delusion.
Do you think they want to be a little bit more in step with some of the rapture teaching, end time, other flavors of Christianity too? I'm seeing some trends where they're not with the worldly Christians per se, but some of the teachings are getting a little bit closer to the end time Baptists with this rapture idea.
I'd agree with you.
So maybe they want to shake hands with some other different Christians in future after they get the television studio built.
Hey.
Yeah, this is Chewy. They're going to combine with the 700 Club with Pat Robertson.
Hey, they got a beautiful studio. They wanted to hire me down there. They got the nice facility at that place, and those people make bucks.
Yeah, they do.
I'd like to know if anybody's ever measured Samuel Hurd's cranium, and if so, what it is.
Good one.
My mom, every time she talked about the anointed going to heaven, I said, "Oh, they're going to be raptured." "Oh, no, it's not raptured. It's not raptured." "Well, what is it?" "Well, it's similar, but it's not the same." I said, "Well, what's the difference?" "What's the difference?" "That's the rapture, Mom. If you look in the definition of rapture, that's what a rapture is." "Oh, no, it's different." "Oh, okay, all right, okay, all right."
Well, that's a good point, Chewy. That's exactly right. They don't use the word rapture, but Hurd is on here, and he's telling you that all the anointed governing body, all of the governing body members are going to be taken. And when they're taken, that's rapture. That's a Christian term. They will not use it. Unbelievable. Yeah. So we have Hurd.
Yeah, Mr. Fern.
Yes, Ken.
Yeah, well, thanks for taking my call and so forth. For one thing, they talked about some kind of a militia or something like that within the Watchtower. Christianity has never taught such a thing whatsoever. They have always taught that their spiritual leaders, whomever, which is too numerous to mention right now, will come down and they will execute judgment. But not anybody, identified from the Watchtower or any organization from the from down here and so forth, literal Earth and everything like that. And this is just totally nonsense. Every time you turn around, they change their doctrine. So so if Watchtower Society, if you're listening, would you call up and would you give me the proof? And would you give me the facts on that stuff? I'm sure I'm not going to hear from you because I never did before and so forth. So I don't know what to think and everything like that, but Orthodox Christianity teaches something that's just not, that's otherwise. Even Dr. Billy Graham said right now, when you were talking about the peace and security thing, he says, the government leaders of the USA are going around and trying to, settle things in different countries and so forth. And by the time that they get things settled over in one country, it breaks out into another. So somebody kind of please explain to me this peace and security thing, because I just don't understand.
Okay, there's a beautiful Episcopal hymn, first of all, that talks about bring me my sword and my chariot of fire. So there is a thread in Revelation where, I don't know, certain people get swords and chariots. It's in there somewhere. And the peace and security is a term used in diplomatic circles all the time. And for some reason, the witnesses think it's only going to be used at the end times. But I remember Nixon saying it in a speech, and all kinds of American politicians have used it in a speech. I don't listen to political speeches in France and Germany. They probably use it too.
When the wall came down, this is Scott in Florida. When the wall came down with Reagan, they were saying peace and security.
That's right, Scott.
Yeah. So I guess I'm wondering, I thought there was 4 horsemen. I didn't realize there was going to be 144,000 horsemen. I hope they have plenty of extra horses. I guess I always thought, and again, I'm trying to stretch my memory a little. I guess I always thought that they always talked about some anointed still being on Earth at the time of Armageddon, and that they would die of natural causes. But this kind of rapture thing, I don't know. That's sort of new to me.
That was the term comes from a Scottish theologian in the 19th century, and so many of the other Christian flavors use the term rapture. It's not in the Bible, but the idea of being taken up in a twinkling of the eye is. So. Yeah,
but I didn't think they ever applied that to themselves, but that they definitely are not.
You'd be surprised what they apply to themselves. It's my head. It's wacky. It's getting wackier by the day.
Well, I know. I mean, I was in for over 30 years, from the time I was 8 years old. So
I go back to Russell's autograph.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I go back to Noor. I remember him.
Noor when I was 4.
And Noor when I was 4.
I did. I met Noor when I was.
Slogan.
Yeah.
No, I thank you very much for the information and so forth, but my invitation was to anybody from the Watchtower listening. Of course, they never call in.
I know. They never write, never call, they don't answer
the word about horsemen of the apocalypse, whatever it is in the Christianity's teaching. 4 horsemen of the apocalypse means 4 horsemen. 144,000 means 144,000. And so let's do the proper research on it. I'm not going to get into it now, but let's do the proper research on it. We'll find out that the Watchtower Society's version is not consistent with the original teachings of Christianity.
Well, again, if you go back to your Episcopal teachings, when the Episcopals first left the Pope, back in Tudor England, there's a recent book by Jason Louv about John Dee, and it goes into a lot of the occult teachings of the Episcopal Church in the early Tudor England, Elizabethan times, right before the King James Bible. And they had all kinds of looking at Revelation and myriads of angels and holy name, and there's threads of it in Christianity.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I mean, the Watchtower makes a big deal out of it, Pixie. And, you know, for her to come on and kind of gloat over the fact and kind of find it even amusing that he's going to come back with the executional forces of Jesus and really protect the great crowd that's left on earth and annihilate those that are against Jehovah. And of course, even Mark Sanderson, another governing body member, you know, people are now looking at him like he's some type of a celestial clairvoyant. They think that he's some He-Man with special godly powers. That's how a lot of witnesses are looking at Mark Sanderson. You know, so the rank and file, they are treating the governing body right now. They're treating them like they're almighty gods themselves. And, you know, Machiavellian. I'm going to use this term. I'm going to bring the term in. It's like a Machiavellian scare tactic is what's going on here in the Watchtower. And you'll say, well, what is that? Well, Machiavellian, it's cunning, it's scheming, it's unscrupulous. A Machiavellian technique, very cunning. That's what the Watchtower governing body is doing right now. They make sense when they make you realize how they can utilize. See, they utilize all of these talks and imagery, and subsequently, it scares witnesses. When the governing body comes on, it was supposed to be the channel of true Christianity on the planet, and then you have them come on like Hurd and give a talk like that. You know, the average rank and file witness is going, wow, we better obey the governing body. Soon they will become all powerful spiritual creatures, and they'll be killing people door to door. That's the message that's coming across to me. And that's the reason why I wanted to bring this up tonight, because they're trying to get this total loyalty to the governing body. And by them making statements like they're going to be in the executional forces, it makes people think, boy, I better be nice to the governing body today, or they might wipe me out as well. So it's in the best interest of the Jehovah's Witnesses to be very, very submissive to the governing body and comply with everything they tell you to do. And they love to give a talk like Hurd gave. Oh, that just boosts their ego. Oh, their heart is just feeling so warm. Something is going on here with the governing body, friends. I'm telling you, it seems like they are drilling their supremacy into the heads of the...
Hurd has a big imagination, I think.
Well, you're right, Jeffrey. And what they're trying to do is drill...
Well, they certainly don't have the charisma of the Beatles.
They don't. But they're trying to drill their supremacy. They're trying to make it seem like they're high and mighty, and they're drilling this into the heads of the Jehovah's Witnesses. The constant, you must obey, even if it doesn't make sense. Remember that in the November 2013 magazine? Even if it doesn't make sense from a strategic standpoint, you have to go along with them. How sick is that when you stop and think about it? It's almost as if they're conditioning the rank and file to slowly look at them as gods. Really? This is what I see, and maybe I'm reading more into it, but the governing body is slowly making the rank and file look at them as a wow, they are like gods in themselves. And you know something? It's working, because I hear many Jehovah's Witnesses saying the governing body is the way God speaks to us. Did you get that?
Yeah, Mr. Farron?
Yes. Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, I've always said that the Watchtower Society claims that they're gods and so forth. And if we can, they've in the past have accused us of just being mentally ill people and all that. Well, if we're mentally ill, then their church doctrine is total and absolute insanity. It's not only total and absolute to pastor and everything like that, and it's affecting people's lives adversely.
You're cutting out on us, Ken. I'm not sure why, but you are cutting out. So anyways, it's what these talks are doing. When the governing body herd gives a talk like this, and the other governing body members too are sharing in this nonsense, it's essentially making gods out of the governing body. Obey them now, and they won't kill you at Armageddon. Obey them now, and they won't kill you at Armageddon. Okay, we have New York City coming in. Go ahead, New York.
I was just thinking, Rick, what other religion has so much quote-unquote new light? Is there any? I mean, seriously, besides the witnesses, what other religion has so many turnovers? No, not this. Now we do this. No, now it's this. I mean, seriously, is there any other religion that turns over? Only thing I can think of was back in the day, in the 60s, and remember the Catholics said they can now eat meat on Friday. That's the only major religious change I can really think of.
Yeah, and they had the guitar mass, and they changed all kinds of
mass. Yeah, but I mean, what other religion turns over like the JWs?
Well, you know, I was thinking about when my dad was young in the 20s, and the witnesses had a lot of recipes and health advice, and almost like today, if we had an alternative fanzine that had conspiracy theories in it. I think they've always had kind of a, you know, let's keep our subscribers by keeping them on the edge of their seat. And I think they've done this for 3 and 4 generations now.
And Pixie, you would remember this. You probably know what book it was in. Remember the picture of the Christmas tree in Bethel in the cafeteria? I'm sure you saw that, right?
Christmas. It was the Christmas of 1929, and my dad graduated high school in 1923, and I remember him telling me, he says they had Christmas until 1929.
So what scripture? What the Bible? If you go up to any witness now today and hold up the Bible in their face and say, "Has this ever changed?" they will say no. But then you bring up the thing with the Christmas tree at Bethel they used to celebrate. I mean, where did that come from? Why good then? But now, 2 things people know about Jehovah's Witnesses: they don't take blood and they don't celebrate Christmas.
Right.
It wasn't had the I'm saying the Bible. If you ask any JW from back in the day, even now, they'll tell you the Bible never changed, although they changed the doctrine of GB. But anyway, what scripture? What's going on with that?
Well, it wasn't until they had that history of their own club that the rank and file even knew they had Christmas until 1929. My dad knew it because he was really old. But a lot of people that had recently converted, they didn't realize that the witnesses had a Christmas dinner in 1929.
But I mean, like some of them, like me, we weren't around then. I mean, like your dad, but other people.
My dad told me, and they
celebrate. So I mean, why are they, putting up with this nonsense?
I don't know.
Celebrated, now they don't.
Okay, the book, The Harp of God, has the cross in an illustration. So they didn't discontinue the cross at first, because Harp of God, they've been talking, well, how many of you came into the truth using the Harp of God book? Well, those people would all be 125 now. They've all gone to their reward. But the book, The Harp of God, had the cross in it. So it was only with Rutherford that a lot of these things were changed.
Okay, things change. What I'm saying. So I'm saying, what other religion flip flops as much as the JWs?
I don't think one does. I don't think any of them do, dear. I think that's, and I'm looking at this, and I'm you know, it's getting saltier by the day, but I didn't see it for years.
They hold the records for the most flip flops in any religion in history, but yet they have their followers, more than 1 million followers.
But you know, they tell us not to look at any other religions, and that's why, because those religions have scriptures. Bob Dole's funeral this week had lots of scriptures in it. So
yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying, point blank, the witnesses, they just hold the record for flip flop. No, we used to do this, but now it's this. Oh, this, now it's this. And now with the rapture thing. Now with the rapture, I remember my mother, like what Chewy said about his mother, saying, "Oh, we don't know rapture. We don't believe in it and all this." And my mother used to down talk at his old Christendom back in the day and all that. But now, look at what they're saying. I mean, I can't believe wherever the dead J-Dub, if there is a heaven and they are there, I just hope they're listening. They're finding out. Number one, they were duped for all their life. I just hope they're hearing all of this now.
Well, what my dad would say, born in 1910, Mike would say, that's not Bible.
Okay,
whatever witnesses by whatever the GB says is, you know, the Pope. I mean, the GB, like the Catholics have the Pope, the JWs have the GB.
And my mother died this time last year at 102. These next 2 weeks are going to be real difficult for me. But she was 102. She knew her Bible. She was baptized in 1936. And when the witness sister came to see her, she says, "Oh, well, you love the governing body, don't you? They're Jesus' brothers." And she says, "No, Jesus' brothers was James."
All right, we're going to move on. We're going to move on. We got more stuff to talk about here tonight, so let's do it. We've got, you're on JW World News. That's the word. That's the news the Watchtower doesn't want you talking about. But just getting back to this talk with Hurd, you know, what's of interest here is, you know, generally the anointed years ago were quiet and they were humble. The governing body isn't showing any signs of humility, and they're not showing any signs of being quiet. I can remember even as a young child, and, you know, we had an anointed brother in the congregation, and, you know, we weren't supposed to, we would be scolded if we smacked up against, you know, well, how does he know he's anointed? Or how does Jehovah work with him? You'd be smacked for even asking that question seriously. But they used to be humble. Don't ask that. Jehovah, that's a private matter between them and Jehovah. And now we have these guys coming out, and they're not humble at all. We're going to be taken to heaven. We're going to come back here, and we're going to beat the pants off anybody. We're going to kill them. We're going to kill anybody that's not upholding the principles of Jehovah God. I mean, enough is enough with this. This is just absolutely crazy. But this is new light. Now, the fellow from Florida, Scott, he just called in a little while ago. He says, well, didn't they teach that the anointed many would be left here on the earth after Armageddon? Yes, he's right. But they have vacillated on that doctrine. Yes, I can remember them doing a few times. At one point, yeah, the anointed are going to leave us before Armageddon. Then the anointed are going to be here with us to help the elders arrange things. That was the latest teaching. But now this new teaching is the anointed governing body members are going to be raptured. They're not using the term, I know, but they're going to be raptured up to heaven, and they're going to be working with Jesus and his executional forces. Now, Ken brought up a good thing, too. Now, even though there is threads, like you say, Pixie, of in Revelation especially, concerning, you know, taking up the sword and working along with Jesus, these guys take it to the nth degree that they've got to let you know. And the reason why they're letting you know that, it's this idea of them getting you to obey them. Wow. they're going to be with Jesus, and they're going to be in the executional forces. And if I don't obey the governing body now, they might do me in at Armageddon. That's the message. And that's the message these cults have got to put out. And that's exactly what the Jehovah's Witness organization is doing right now. The governing body is scaring the pants off the rank and file witnesses. Before we move to the next story, I'll open it up. Go ahead, you run with us. You want to speak up? Hit *6. All right. All right. Well, let's move on then. We have more people coming through here tonight. Got a lot of people coming in. Tony.
Oh, come on.
Who's this? Go ahead. You want to say something? Go ahead. California, you want to speak up? You just want to...
My name is Janine.
Yeah. Go ahead, Janine.
I've been trying to get to you.
Go ahead.
And stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And anyway, it all began in Manteca, California.
What began in California?
I was living in these apartments, you know, going into Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah. Well, tell us about it.
So anyway, we were studying. They told us if you go to any other religion, you have to believe that Jesus is God. And I said, no, we don't. Because I never heard them say that when I went to the Baptist. But I guess some of their songs do tell you that. You know, like holy, holy, holy.
Yeah. So were you one of Jehovah's Witnesses?
So anyway, yeah, we got baptized together. I mean, together. One brother had him and one brother had me. And they dunked us together. They said they usually don't do that, but they would do it. And so we were just, I mean, we were really good in that, you know, in that kingdom hall and stuff. You know, I quit smoking, I was pregnant, and me and my husband got married and stuff. Well, he was kind of weird. He was the one that really liked it, and I just went right along with him. And people told me that it's a cult. And I kept saying, no, it's not. No, I didn't think of them as brainwashing us. You know?
How long were you a witness?
Well, I was 26, I do believe. And then when I got this fellowship, because I told them, I asked them, can I use a patch to get, you know, on a cigarette? And they said, no, it's like getting a blood transfusion. Right?
Yeah.
And so I said, well, okay, it's too hard for me. This fellowship me. And so they did. I think I had 1 full year, and then my husband passed away. And then he came and he told his mom he sees heaven. And are you going to be okay? Because he loved his mom. And she goes, yes, son. Oh, yeah, I want you to be okay. He goes, I'm going to be okay. Because he knew where he was going. You know?
Well, was he of the anointed?
It must have been something. Well, no, he wouldn't be an anointed one.
Well, so no, well, I'm surprised.
We all go.
All right,
we all go there because remember the scripture in Revelation, and he said, and I looked, and there's like myriads and myriads of people coming through.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. So what made you want to call up the program tonight?
Oh, you talked to me the other night, or told me.
I talked to you.
Call up and tell my story.
When was that?
That was like a few days ago.
Huh? Did I call you on the phone? I don't remember. I don't remember.
No. You told me in chat. You told me on the screen.
Oh, on the screen. All right. So you watch it on YouTube then, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, what we can do is maybe why don't you email me at jwworldnews@gmail.com.
Hold on.
jwworldnews@gmail.com.
Okay.
jwworldnews@gmail.com. Yeah, email me and then
one more time.
And then what I'll do is you send me the email off, and I'll get a hold of you, and then we'll make arrangement to get you on the program and tell your story. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you for calling in, sister.
I'm sorry, I just.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was that again?
It's JW World News.
JW World News
@gmail.com, and say this is the lady that came on the program.
Yeah, my name is Janine.
Janine, well, very good, Janine. Well, you do that, and we'll get you on here and tell your story. We just don't have time tonight, but we'll get you on here and tell your story, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Well, that's
You're
Janine.
welcome.
That's Janine out of California. Always.
Yeah, Janine.
Yeah, Janine, that's good. Well, thank you, Janine.
I talked to you on the phone.
Yeah. When? This week.
Wasn't it like a few months ago or?
Yeah, I don't know. It could have been. Yeah, I'm sure we did. If you say it, I believe it. But I talked to a lot of people, but we'll get you on, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, Janine. All right,
You're welcome.
that's Janine out of California. Boy. Oh, yeah, there you go. All right. Well, anyways, you're
Yeah, Mr. Fair.
Yes, sir, Ken. Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, we just hope that we can get Janine on here and so forth. I was interested in her conversation, but you know, Christianity, including the Watchtower Society, used to teach many years ago that God said that vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord, and so forth. What happened to that teaching? You know, I'd like to know. So Watchtower Society, if you're listening, please tell me what happened to that teaching. Now you're saying that a bunch of your people are going to come down and they're going to kill a bunch of people. I don't understand that.
Well, I'm glad you don't, because it's really, it doesn't sound Christian to me, Ken, does it? Does that sound like a Christian religion? No, it doesn't. It doesn't have a.
Who said that?
Well, that was said by Samuel Hurd, Janine. He's a governing body member.
Okay.
He's a governing body member, and so they.
You know that one guy that you had on? He scared me.
What guy was that?
You know, the one how the world control.
Oh yeah.
You know how his name was
Mark Sanderson.
And that. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, no,
he was just a guy, and he was scaring me because I already knew some of it.
Yeah.
Okay. I went on YouTube, and I found this lady, and she had her husband's book, which is in the. I think he was in the Navy. Okay. She brought his book to these people and started telling what he was doing. How they were having parties and making like boys, you know, have sex with them and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean,
looking back.
Yeah, well, they do some pretty strange things.
But, you know, and I know about the Masons. Okay, my grandfather was a Mason.
All right, so what we're going to do is
my grandmother was a Masonette.
All right, so
she got saved.
Well, you have a lot to talk about, but we can't do it here in the news. So you contact me at that JW World News, and we'll bring you on here as a special guest tonight to tell your whole story, because I'd like to talk about more, but we're right in the middle of a newscast. But thank you, Janine. I really love it. It's good to hear from your voice. So you just kind of lay back there and relax, and we'll get you on here one of these nights, okay?
Okay.
All right, good. Thank you, Janine.
Thank you.
Yeah, good to hear from you. Yeah.
Good night.
Good night. Don't be a stranger now. Okay, thank you. All right, so that's Janine out of California. Friends, we do this every Saturday night. We never know who's going to call in. We got people calling in from all over the place, all over the world, really. But we want to thank you for doing that. And what we'll do is if you guys have a story to tell, we'll get you on one of our programs, whether it be on Heart to Heart or whether it be with our Healing After the Watchtower program, whether it be here on a conference call or whatever, we'll get you on and you can tell your whole story. So if you have a story to tell, if anyone out there has a story to tell and they want to talk about it here on the 6 screens, jwworldnews@gmail.com. It's easy. jwworldnews@gmail.com. Mail me. We can talk about it and get you on. Boy, I have to tell you, this governing body is driving people nuts. It's driving me nuts. It's driving the apostates nuts. Tony Morris. Well, he's got in the December broadcast update coming out of jw.org. Tony Morris, Tight Pants Tony. Well, he was the one that was caught up there in New York at a liquor store buying $1,000 worth of scotch. So he's on the broadcasting for December off of jw.org, and he is actually saying that he's telling people how to pray and how to pray faster so he can eat his breakfast. So you're saying, well, what is that all about? Well, I don't know if you know JW Escape. I'm going to mention her. I got information from her off of her YouTube video, and I really appreciate it. She does such a great job. Elaine is her name. She lives down in Florida, but I captured some of the information she put on her YouTube, but it got me thinking. I wanted to hear this for myself, so I got on jw.org. I want you to hear how Tony Morris is talking about prayer. I think you'll find it very fascinating. Let me see if I can get him up here. Let me just take a second here, and we're going to get him on here. Okay, so we do have him here. So just give us a second, and we'll get him right back up again. But before I do that, I've got to get back into my live streaming, and we're going to share Tony Morris. I'm going to go over here and share the screen. So give us a second to do that. And okay, let's get Morris up here. And okay, there he is there. So we're going to bring Tony Morris up. I want you to hear what he has to say. Now, this is fascinating, but there's a human side to this, and I think we're going to be able to really connect with it. I'm not going to beat Morris up entirely here, but there's some things I might be in agreement with him on. Imagine that. Me, an apostate, in agreement with Tony a little bit here. But let's see what Tony has to say. I think you'll find it really, really interesting.
Me. You made a vow. But see, it shouldn't be because an angel's going to check if that's Jehovah's direction. It should be because of our love for Jehovah. When you make a vow, whether it was marriage or whatever, your love for Jehovah, that's what cements the vow. It matters. See, it matters to him. So then finally, verse 7, for just as many preoccupations lead to dreams, so too many words lead to futility. So good counsel. You are so filled with the word of God.
We'll just play a few minutes of Tony, and then I want you to hear what he says at the end about prayer. But this is Tony Morris. This is the man that was actually on video up in New York, and he was actually, what he was actually doing is buying liquor. He's the man. It's Tight Pants Tony, they call him. But he was the one buying liquor, $1,000 worth. So I want you to hear, let's continue through here a little bit. I want you to get to know who Tony is if you don't know, but he's a governing body member for the Jehovah's Witnesses. But listen what he has to say about prayer. Now, there's some things here I'm going to agree with. So let's play the clip, and I want you to hear it.
This is a special class, and Gilead is a special school. We have other schools, SKE. I'll mention something later about that, but this is unique. They have men, Jehovah's appointed to instruct, teaching committee selects them, totally whole-souled and devoted to Jehovah God, teaching you during class, and you're going over all these things in the Word of God, and so it's all in there, and it's just special. So you thank Jehovah that you have this education, and you're going to move forward to glorify Him. See, and that's pretty well similar to what is mentioned here in the last sentence in verse 7. But fear the true God. So you soon to be graduates, keep those words in your heart. Just fear the true God in the days ahead.
Tony's actually talking
and,
to the graduates of Gilead.
Stay away
It's
from
a
these
Gilead
kind of
talk.
dreams.
Just a recent talk last
About
couple of
self.
weeks.
Preoccupation, no, not for you. And otherwise, your education was futile, not good. And I don't see that in any of you, and not in mine, but such wise counsel from Jehovah God in His Word. So there's much, much more there. Enjoy thinking about it with a little tool we have there with the research guide. Now, we appreciate the next speaker very much, and put his heart in his talk, Brother Mark Sanderson. And we have a nice lineup. The brothers have prepared their talks with all their heart. But Mark's a member of the governing body, and his talk is a question.
Well, I'm going to go back. Somehow I think I missed this. Let's go back here. I want you to hear what he had to say about prayer. Forgive me for that, but we messed this up a little bit. But let's see.
1972. Some of you in the class weren't alive. Reading it, please, and gave thanks. Amen.
Let's see. We're trying to find this.
Let's eat.
Okay.
I mean, there are other.
Okay, this is what he's talking about here when it comes to prayer, and let's what he has to say about it. Let's start right here.
And he mentions those morally stupid ones. That's not you. You're going to avoid that. And then I love this in verse 2. Do not be quick with your mouth. Boy, there's a lot of people in the world could benefit from that counsel. Isn't that true?
A lot of people and the witnesses could benefit.
Does
from
he
it.
or she ever shut up? I mean, I bet you they talk in their sleep. They just won't shut up, But anyway, don't be quick with your mouth, particularly in context here when you're speaking to Jehovah. Oh boy, that's some good things. That's you brothers that will speak in public, but you sisters too, when it's personal with your prayers to Jehovah. Don't be quick with your mouth when you approach the sovereign of the universe. Your words should be few. You do not impress God with vocabulary. He's impressed with sincerity of heart. Loves those that love him. And all different languages, he treasures those prayers. And then he mentions this about a dream. Comes from too many preoccupations in the Revised Bible here, too many cares. So this idea isn't just dreams from a busy, busy day. This preoccupation with self is being warned against here. Don't do it. They do not do it. Don't be preoccupied with yourself. And those that are there, many words from them. But be careful, you have the privilege now, you'll be praying more in public, probably than you have ever before. You get privileges, And when you're praying to Jehovah, sometimes we don't want to be counseling, criticizing prayers. We try to be careful with that, but sometimes you even hear a prayer at Bethel, and it's like, okay, we're trying to eat breakfast here. And I've told folks, it's like, I just can't help it. Jesus is there, most eloquent person to walk the planet. And the meal comes, he raised his eyes to heaven and gave thanks. Amen. Let's eat. I mean, there are other times you want to pour out your heart and all that, but you're not praying to the audience. You're talking to the sovereign of the universe. The council is, now I'm a Gilead graduate, your brothers particularly, I'm going to have longer prayers. I hope not. I sure hope not, unless they're private. But then he gets into something crucial, and it's just so important to keep in mind. Verse 4, let's read 4 and 5. Whenever you make a vow to God.
Well, let's just stop right there. But I just wanted to show, well, what he's basically saying here. Let me tell you what Tony's basically saying. And I kind of agree with him. You guys remember when you were in the organization, and especially at the end of the meeting, right? At the end of the meeting, what would happen is someone would give a prayer, and it'd be so long, right? It doesn't have to be that long. Same thing he was saying here at Bethel when, you go to lunch at Bethel and one of the brothers gives a long talk. Is it really a long prayer? Is it really necessary? I mean, there's a time to pray and solemnly pray and really take time with it, but sometimes you don't have to spend that much time. So I agree with Tony on that. But what I find very fascinating here, what I find of real interest is Tony at least brought that up. Usually a witness, I never heard a Jehovah's Witness say that before, really, especially a governing body member. And here he is actually saying that, slow it down a little bit. You don't have to really, spend all that time praying. If it's a meal, there's a time to pray and take some time with it, but there's other times not to. So you guys remember that as Jehovah's Witnesses. Sometimes the brothers would get up there and they'd ramble on and talk about everything in the meeting. Well, we thank brother so-and-so for giving his talk on humility, and he did a great job. We don't have to hear that much. You don't have to hear that much. Just get it done and do it in a way that would be reasonable. So I do agree with Tony on that. I mean, that's the first time I think I've ever agreed with Tony Morris on anything. But yeah, so what do you guys think of that? Did you ever be in a meeting and you want to go home and the brother's giving a prayer and it goes on and on and on? Has that ever happened to you? It's happened to me. And I don't know, sometimes it seemed like the witnesses were trying to impress people with their prayers. You don't have to impress people. Yes.
What about after the convention? The last day of the convention. It was like a whole talk in itself.
Yeah.
I used to take notes when they told me to go up there. Hell, I didn't want to forget nothing. The one who just got baptized, the pioneer lady, every point they made, hell, I'd take notes. And I'd say, God, I hope I don't forget anything. And, and I'd sit up there. It seemed like a 20-minute prayer, because it was such a privilege, right?
Yeah, it was a privilege.
I swear to God, I've almost fallen asleep in some prayers. They were so long. I'd almost not. I'm not kidding you. I like to joke, but I gave my share of prayers before meetings and stuff like that, and I never made them long because I knew what that was like.
Hey, Rick. Hey, I got a question. I got a question for you, Rick.
Yeah.
Was that like that recording? I hate to say it, but it sounded like he might have had a few drinks. I mean, I don't know. He was having a hard time putting his thoughts together. He was. I just think now. I hate to say it, Rick, but when that guy opened his mouth, it's stupid. I mean, when he said, "I'll be glad when they're all dead." Can you imagine a man of God wishing death upon anybody who don't agree with him, anybody who leaves?
That sounded deep. That's what I thought, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, that's a drunk. Something's wrong. But him up there now, even Rick, even this too, Rick. When a person prays, God bless them. They're coming from their heart. They want to do it well. I mean, even instruction on that. I mean, I agree. You don't want it to go on and on and on and on. But at the same time, wow, let's keep it short, people. We got food. Jesus just looked up and said, "Thank you, Lord."
Well, the thing is, Dan, the thing is,
hey, Rick,
yeah, go ahead.
the
This is Justin. I was just going to make mention that a lot of times what this would do with those prayers, they would try to impress people or try to show off their Bible knowledge. So anyone that was listening, a circuit overseer or an elder who had influence enough to be able to put them on the circuit assembly, district convention, or whatnot, would hear it and say, "Oh, this brother could possibly be one of the speakers." So it was just an audition for showing out your spirituality, so to speak. And it was just horrible. Like the other brother said, you would want to fall out doing those prayers. Your legs go numb standing up and listening to that.
Yeah, it's kind of, in fact, it's really funny to hear a governing body member, as Dan was just saying, to come on and say that. But it's true. So some of these brothers went on, especially after the convention. Sometimes they went on, they talked about all the parts. It's not necessary. But, you can pray in private. You can kneel down if you like, and you can pray for hours if you want to. But there's a time to take time to pray, and there's a time to, get right to the point with it. And some of them were trying to impress. But the one thing I do say about prayer, there's a couple of things that comes to mind about prayer. First of all, I used to say a lot of prayers at the Kingdom Hall, but and I listened to many prayers of witnesses as well. But I got news for you. Never did I, and I feel bad about this. For example, let's go with the poor people today in the South, in the Midwest, with all those tornadoes, and our heart goes out to all of them. But if I was at the Kingdom Hall tonight and I was praying a prayer in the Jehovah's Witness religion, I would pray that, "Oh, Jehovah, could you please help all of our brothers in the Midwest and the South? Could you help them with the problems they're encountering with the tornadoes?" I would never include other people in it. And you listen to witness prayers, and that's they never include other people. It's always just Jehovah's Witnesses. And I feel bad about that today. But I'm sure witnesses are praying today for those people in the South that have been hit by these tornadoes, and they're praying for the witnesses only. That's one thing I noticed. And then another thing I noticed about prayer, when I was disfellowshipped and brought in before a judicial committee hearing, you would think that the first thing the brothers would do, if they were a real Christian, loving organization, you would think the first thing they would do, okay, we have Brother Farron in here. He's being accused of apostasy. Let's say a prayer for Brother Farron. No way. You're not going to hear a prayer before a judicial committee hearing for anybody. So that just goes to show you how self-centered, how unthoughtful the Jehovah's Witness religion is. You're on with us. You want to speak up? Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Farron.
Hold on one second. Okay, Ken. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
That's okay. This was Zachary.
Okay, Zachary, go ahead. Go ahead. You're right. Go ahead.
Okay. So let me just say this. I did call for another reason. I wanted to talk about the reality of prayer at Bethel when they were praying for meals. But that last thing you said about judicial committee, the procedure for judicial committee is they are supposed to start with prayer. That's the procedure that's laid out in the book. The meeting starts out with prayer, but at the very end of the meeting, if the decision is to reprove the person, they're supposed to pray at the end of the meeting, the judicial committee hearing also. If the decision is to disfellowship the person, they do not pray at the end of the judicial committee hearing. But I did call. I wanted to give my personal experience about some of the prayers at Bethel.
Yes.
Is that okay? Okay. I first want to say I was very respectful of the arrangement. I wasn't disrespectful of the Bethel arrangement. But the prayers, remember that for breakfast, the prayer was, was like 7 o'clock in the morning, and you had run down to the table, you've gotten showered and all that stuff, and you run down to the table, and sometimes you weren't exactly, let me blame it on myself, I wasn't exactly alert. So there were times when the opening meal, just a few times, I found myself falling asleep. during the prayer. You know, you put your elbows on the table and you put your hands together and your forehead is on your fist. You know, your two hands clasped together. And sometimes I'd fall asleep, and so I would catch myself, and if you kind of jump, then people know what just happened. Sometimes they give talks after the meal, and you're still sitting there, and you might put your elbows on the table and rest your forehead on your fist. And sometimes I go to sleep then. Just a time or two, I'll say. I started to realize if you find that you were almost going to sleep, you were getting to that point, and you quickly bowed your head or you quickly sat up, you might do the wrong thing, because you might think that it was a talk and they're really praying, or you might think it's prayer and they're giving a talk. And you know, so you're halfway conscious, and they're giving a talk and you think it's prayer, and you quickly bow your head, or vice versa. So I started to learn to, if I found myself halfway ready to fall asleep, or I had just fallen asleep, I would just sit there still and listen to hear whether they were praying or if it was a talk. And then I would, you know, bow my head appropriately or try to sit up. Some of the prayers could be long too. Some of them could be long. I do remember one that was really long. I believe it was Max Larson, and it went on for quite some time. I think that some of the people, you have a pressure when you get the assignment to pray. You feel this pressure that you don't want to be the one to get the very short prayer, because you're praying, it's the Bethel family, and you feel some kind of pressure. You know you're praying to God, you know you're praying to the sovereign of the universe, but you feel pressure because you're praying in front of other people. And in the witness mind, this is the Bethel family. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember when I was at Bethel, there was Brother Klein gave a long prayer like that, and I remember my table head, Al Jansen, he even tapped me on the shoulder and was like, "Man, this is a long prayer." His former governing body member, Brother Klein, and he had gave some really, really long prayers as well at Bethel, but he was a governing body member, so there's nothing you could do. But just like a gentleman said, the breakfast would end up being cold almost before they would say amen. Amen. There, so there's a lot of long prayers at Bethel, definitely.
I know Al Jansen.
Yeah, he was my table head. Yeah. He passed away recently too. He was over the convention arrangement at the time. Yeah, all the convention locations in the U.S.
What about his wife? How's she?
As far as I know, she's fine. But, you know, they were from Yonkers, and I heard she was up at the farm. So, he was a real nice brother. Yeah, he was my table head the whole time at Bethel.
Well, there you have it. I mean, two Bethelites talking, they know what long prayers are all about. But, you know, there are some occasions when you're pouring your heart out to God, you know, maybe in the privacy of your own room, and you say, I want to just talk to God here, and you can talk and pour your heart out. But, you know, there are times for long prayers and the times not to do a long prayer. Jehovah's not going to beat you up. I mean, you know, some people say, well, you really should pray. You should kneel down and next to your bed and show total reverence to God. That's not totally necessary. I mean, you can pray while you're eating a Big Mac sandwich, as long as, look at your Father, God in the heavens. He wants you to talk to him, just like your physical father would want you to talk to him. So he's not going to beat you up about little things that are not necessary. The main thing is talk to God. Talk to God when you can. Pray little prayers during the day. That's okay. You don't have to go into a long prayer. But I know a lot of the witnesses did because they were trying to impress people. And come on, enough was enough. But I saw that a lot. And like I say, I gave a lot of prayers, but my biggest discontent, my biggest ill feelings about prayers in the Watchtower is you only pray for Jehovah's Witnesses. And as I mentioned just earlier with these tornadoes today, if the witnesses are praying today concerning those tornadoes, they're going to be praying for witnesses only. You know, if you're a real Christian, you pray for everybody that's suffering, everybody that's been hurt, displaced, made homeless, not just Jehovah's Witnesses. So there's a point.
Yeah, hello, Mr. Fenner.
Yes, Ken.
A wise old minister many years ago by the name of Kendall Wyatt says, "We teach all to pray and we pray for all." That's not found in the Watchtower Society. And also, I wanted to mention earlier when I called in that Orthodox Christianity taught that prayer was primarily a private matter. Nobody else is supposed to know about it. You go into a room privately and you pray and so forth. But if you wanted to pray publicly or join in with other people, that was optional. That was okay. But primarily, your option was that you go into a private place and you pray, and it's nobody else's business. But you make sure that you use the right words, the right vocabulary, and so forth. It's a matter of a personal choice. We don't find that in the Watchtower anymore. We don't find that in a lot of churches and all that. It's always man-oriented or man-invented, prayers and so forth. And then the prayer coordinator, the prayer leader, whatever they call him and so forth, he just, blurts out what he wants, not what the other people want and so forth. So, whatever that's worth and everything like that and so forth, prayer should be a private matter and it should come from your heart. And not only that, another wise old minister says, don't pray in disbelief or doubt, but pray in a positive manner. So I think if we accept those things and all that, I think we'll do a lot better.
Well, that's a good comment, Ken. That's a very good comment, and that's 100%.
Hey, Rick?
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that, I had been gone for 30 years, and when I got reinstated, I thought it was very weird at my meetings to reinstate me that they did not pray. You would think that they would.
You would think so. I mean, if they were loving and they were kind, they would. Good point. Good point. Yeah, in fact, I can remember, and I'm not going to beat this subject to death, but, I'm going back about 30 years ago. I was living in Florida, and I was doing good. I was a model witness. I was getting, sometimes, more than my 10 hours a month and sometimes 20. I had 5 Bible studies going. I was an exemplary Jehovah's Witness. And, a person came to me in the Kingdom Hall. She was a pioneer woman. She says, "Rick, would you study with my husband? Could you help him come into the so-called truth?" So I says, okay. So every Wednesday night I go over to Brother Buddy's house and I would study with him. And I hate to say it, but I did bring him in the so-called truth. It bothers me to this day. I don't like bringing people into a cult, but I didn't know it was a cult at the time. But I did bring Buddy into the so-called truth. But, they confided with me as we were going through the study, and this woman was a pioneer for Jehovah's Witnesses. And she said to me, Rick, when we pray, Buddy and I pray, we don't feel like we're praying to anybody. Now I want you to think about this. If you're listening to this program, do you pray to God? And when you pray, do you think it's falling on deaf ears? Or do you really feel like you are connecting with the God of the universe? So this woman The pioneer woman, she says, my husband and I, we pray, but we're not connecting. Well, no, you're not connecting because you're not real Christians. You don't understand the tenets of Christianity. And so, you're all over the map with it. But if you really want to pray to God, you've got to get away from the cults. You've got to get into real Christianity, not counterfeit Christianity. You got to bring Jesus into your life. I don't want to preach to you tonight. I'm not preaching to you, but I'm just telling you that the witnesses have this all mixed up and sideways and backwards. If you're really going to pray to God, you don't have to go into a long exhortation. You can pour your heart out to him, and you can, when you're praying, let it be known that you're speaking to someone. But the witnesses, I don't think when they pray that they're really connecting with God. And I know they're not. So I don't know what you guys think about that. You're on with us. You're on JW World News. All right. Well, let's see what else is going on here. So, when you say a prayer before a meal, it doesn't have to be long. I mean, I'm not trying to preach to you tonight, but it doesn't have to be long. All you have to do is say a short prayer, and that will suffice. Okay, you're on with us. Yes, go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, one more comment. That Orthodox Christianity used to teach that long prayers and continuing prayers and all that was the tactics of the scribes and Pharisees. They said it should not be that way amongst their believers and so forth. So whatever that's worth. So I would suggest that anybody that goes and wants to pray and all that, just don't listen to anybody and all that. Just make your prayer brief and to the point. Let it come from your heart. Let it come from your own words. Hello?
This is Carrie. It looks like he walked away for the moment.
I think you're coming back.
He's coming back?
I think so.
Yeah.
I hope so. I just wanted to make a little comment, that's all.
Go ahead, make a comment.
So, hello.
Hello, go ahead.
Hi,
Hi.
it's Annie from Montreal.
Oh, yes, Annie. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
I just wanted to make a brief comment about what you just said, your last comment about prayer being, from the heart. And all the years that I was with the Jehovah's Witnesses, was always that part about prayer that bothered me. I always had an empty feeling when leaving the Kingdom Hall, and I didn't know why. It was like it was just routine, mechanical, robotic prayers. And once I left the Watchtower, and I, at one point I started praying just by myself to God and from the heart. I felt such a difference, and I felt comfortable. I actually felt like I was speaking to God personally, and that you can't get, like you just said before, in a cult. They have just their robotic standard, phrases and things like that. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
Well, Annie, thank you. Thank you very much for chiming in. Always good to hear from you, Annie. Hope to hear from you again soon.
Thank you.
Hope to hear from you again soon.
Okay.
Good. Well, there you go.
Thank you.
So,
okay, bye-bye.
Thank you. A simple prayer before a meal will suffice. Really, when you stop and think about it. Yeah, it's unbelievable how the Watchtower really goes crazy. Many brothers do when it comes to prayer. So I want to bring that up tonight. And sometimes the closing prayer, when I was in a meeting at the Kingdom Hall, you could hardly wait till I got over. You wanted to get home. I had 5 kids. I had to get home, put them to bed. So I just wanted to bring that up tonight. Well, you're on JW World News. That's the news the Watchtower doesn't want you talking about. But we talk about it here every Saturday night. And now listen, we got a big program following up here after us. We've got Heart to Heart with Dan and Angela Clark. They'll be coming on next. And always good to hear from them. My goodness, they do their hardest trying to help people leave this cult. And then, of course, at 11 o'clock, we have got After the Storm. And that will be with good friend Gail and DeLon. They'll be coming on as well. They're former Jehovah's Witnesses. They got a lot to talk about. And then, of course, at 12 midnight, we've got Apostle Babe, Linda James. She'll be coming on as well. And my goodness, don't leave us. And Linda usually goes all night long to the early hours of the morning. So if you can't sleep tonight and you don't know what to do, by all means, stay with us here on the 6 screens. And don't be shy. My goodness, speak up, talk. That's what makes this program. We have so many people, they listen in, and I understand that, and I appreciate them being listeners. But when people speak up and talk, it makes all the difference in the world. So if you could do that, that's what you could do for me. To speak up and talk, and that's what you could do for your audience too. Those in the 6 Screens video suite, those on YouTube, speak up and talk. Facebook, it's good to listen. I appreciate you listening, but man, when you guys can speak up, it makes all the difference in the world. I wanted to bring up another story here tonight. It has to do with the Jehovah's Witnesses getting into prison witnessing. Can you imagine that? There was an article in the Charlotte, North Carolina newspaper this week concerning how the Jehovah's Witnesses, on how they're actually witnessing to prisoners, and they're really ramping that up. Now, do you think that's a good thing to do with all the problems the Watchtower is having right now, is to reach out to all of these prisoners? I would say no. My goodness, they have enough criminals in the organization right now without reaching out and bringing more in. But the Watchtower is desperate. The Watchtower is very desperate. They're trying to bring in as many people as they possibly can. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who they are. Go get the prison criminals, bring them in. And this is why the organization's in trouble today. They bring anybody in. All you have to do is love Jehovah and the governing body.
That's one thing that puts the young men in danger.
Yeah. Well, you got it, Pixie. I mean, really, when you stop and think about it, it's just absolutely nuts that the witnesses would go out and they're really working hard to try to bring more and more prisoners in. It's just crazy to me. And, the Jehovah's Witness, her name is Sister Rodriguez. And she's been witnessing now to the witnesses to the prisoners, that is, for almost 20 years. And she of course, she can't go there anymore, but she's writing letters. But she used to go there physically, but now she's writing letters prolifically and connecting with so many prisoners. And the Jehovah's Witnesses are really getting to be known for this prison witnessing. And just to give you an idea, in July of 2020, there was actually a 28-minute program that was made by the Watchtower, a video, and it was broadcast 3 times a day in 33 state prisons and potentially reaching more than 130,000 prisoners. So they made a video, a Jehovah's Witness video on witnessing, and they played it in these prisons trying to get people to come to grips with the Watchtower and join them. This is just over the top. I don't see really why, but I know it's a cult. But do you really want to get prisoners? I mean, I'm sure some prisoners are good, but a lot of prisoners aren't. And they're going to take advantage. They're going to take total advantage of especially female witnesses writing to prisoners. Don't you think that's dangerous? Don't you think there could be some problems with that? So, yeah, the witnesses seem to be taking the lead. And not only that, they also are able to do it with sign language for the deaf in prison. So they're really taking over the prison ministry by storms here. And this I read right off the news this week, Apple News. So Jehovah's Witnesses are doing everything, in my estimation, to bring anybody and everybody in. It doesn't matter who they are. Just bring them in. Now, I'm not making a blanket statement here. I'm not telling you that all prisoners are bad. But I've been thinking that there's greener pastures. I would say that, you know, if I was a Jehovah's Witness leader, official, I would be very careful letting my Jehovah's Witness sisters writing to prisoners. And of course, they're going to tell you anything that you want to hear. Oh, I want to learn about Jehovah. I want to become a Jehovah's Witness. No, all they want to do is get to know you. And that can be a real, real problem. With all the sexual problems, all the perversion in the Watchtower, they're really ramping up their prison ministry. Does that make sense to you? It doesn't make sense to me. So I don't know how you guys feel about it, but
Hey, Rick, do you remember prison witnessing back in the 70s? Do you remember that? I think I remember that going on before, don't you?
Oh,
do you
yes.
remember that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I think they stopped it. I could be wrong on this, but I think they kind of cut back because of the guys that actually killed somebody or something like that, and like bringing them into Jehovah's Word, blah, 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 something like that, bringing in a murder, killers, murderers or something, kind of stepped it back because of that. Am I correct on that?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. There was something that happened. I can't remember the details of it, but but they're really working hard right now. Of course, they're trying to write to everybody and anybody. They're not going door to door, so they're writing all these letters. But I'll tell you what: if I was a Jehovah's Witness male and my wife was writing to prisoners, I'd have to step in. Look at a lot of these guys are con men. A lot of these guys are criminals. And there's only one thing they're after. Oh, boy, this sister's writing to me. They want to get to know her. They're going to tell her everything she wants to hear. I want to become a Jehovah's Witness. They're after the woman. I'm telling you, that's what many would do. I'm not making a blanket statement, but that's what many would do. So the witnesses are saying that everyone deserves the chances to learn the Bible truths. Well, why is it that hardened criminals, when they're in prison, all of a sudden they want to turn godly? Well, why wouldn't they do that before they did all these heinous acts? And I'm not, there's some people in prison that are really good people. I know that. But I'm saying that a lot of them, they're going to take these witnesses for a ride. And I'm sure many have already been taken for a ride. But you're never going to hear those stories. All the Watchtower wants is numbers. They will go out, they'll preach to anybody and everybody that can come in and, we got another witness. They need the numbers. They have more people walking out the back door than in the front door. So that I want to bring up tonight. I really, really do. I don't know if any of you guys out there ever did prison witnessing, but I mean, that is a very tough business to be in. And I'm going to mention some things too. I can remember we had a circuit overseer, and right here where I live in Massachusetts, we have a hospital for the indigent people. Poor people that have fallen through the cracks and they don't have the money, so they come to this state hospital. They live right down the street from it. And at one time there was a sister in the congregation, and she had a bunch of Bible studies with people in this indigent. It's a poor hospital. People are very poor. They have no relatives. They have no friends. And she was studying with a bunch of people, but the circuit overseer came in and said, don't study with these people. It's not necessary. Why would he make a statement like that? Well, see, what it is he was saying it on the basis of these people have no money, so they're not going to be able to do anything. But, as far as even prison witnesses, it's not a money factor. Some of these criminals are more wealthy than people living outside of prison. But I'm just thinking yes.
One reason that prisoners want to be Jehovah's Witnesses is it looks good when they come up for parole against the pardon board, and they can say, "Oh, I've really changed my ways. Matter of fact, I've become a Jehovah's Witness," and they could probably get out of prison earlier. So that's why they like to tie themselves up with any religion, but basically Jehovah's Witnesses, because, you know, they're such good people.
Well, you're absolutely right. Now that's exactly right. They're going to get favorable marks on their parole record. They're going to say, well, look
Exactly.
that's it. No, you're right. You're right. I agree with you 100%. No, thank you for making that comment, because that's exactly true what you're saying. Thank you, sister. Appreciate it. Yeah. Well, there you go. So look I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I think the witnesses should back off this prison ministry stuff. Seriously, it's nothing more than trying to get numbers. They're not really interested in changing the prisoner. They're interested in getting numbers in their organization. Well, anyways, you're on JW World News, and I'm so glad you're with us tonight. My goodness gracious, got a lot of things to talk about tonight. But we got Dan and Angela Clark. They'll be coming up next, so by all means, stay tuned. Listen to the program. We got more programming coming up here tonight. Now, if you're on YouTube, we only JW World News. That's the only program we have on YouTube and Facebook Live. So after this program ends, we have more programs. So if you want to listen into more programs afterwards, go to JW. Well, I'm going to give you somewhere to go. Go to 6screensofthewatchtower.com. 6screensofthewatchtower.com. Scroll down, and you'll see a telephone number that you can connect with. You can listen in. Or why don't you join us on the 6 Screens video suite? Yeah, connect. Scroll down on our website, our official website, 6screensofthewatchtower.com. Scroll down, and it'll say click here for the video suite. Click on that, and then put your name in there. You can put a fictitious name in. It'll bring you right into the suite. You can hear our program from all over the world, and you can also chat. We have live chatting going on right now. So why don't you give that a shot? Okay, let's see what else we get going. Here. There's an interesting survey that they were doing on Reddit in the last week or so. And the survey is, which one of these is the most likely will happen first? And it's concerning the governing body. And there's multiple scenarios on what is going to happen first. And you take votes, and and I'll know in the next week because they'll put it up. But, the governing body is really creating monumental issues in the Watchtower organization. I mean, from the Australia Royal Commission to all of this new light they're now talking about and being raptured to heaven. But it says, what is the most likely scenario that's going to happen to the governing body? One of them would be arrested for abuse cover-ups. And you'll mark that one if you think that would be it. And that's a possibility. The governing body could be arrested for abuse cover-ups. And then that's a fact. The Zalkin law firm, they've been uncovering evidence that the governing body is really destructive. They are dragging their feet when it comes to giving the database of child molesters in the Watchtower. They won't do it. So there's a lot of cover-ups there, and why they don't do it is perhaps because some of the governing body members, and I say perhaps, some of the governing body members may be involved in child molestation themselves. So they're dragging their feet. So could they be arrested? That is one of the scenarios that could happen to the governing body. Another one would be switch to destruction message right before they all die. Well, I don't know where to go with that one, but maybe, the organization will be gone, the destruction message, and, we're all going to die now. So I don't know really what that means, but that's what I'm looking at it as. that, you know, the whole thing is just going down the tubes. So we're out of here. So another thought is the governing body helpers would become the new governing body. Now that's the Nephilim. And of course, they are the helpers for the governing body. They're not really anointed ones, but they're the helpers. So one of the scenarios is that the governing body helpers become the new governing body. Well, that's a possibility. That's a possibility. And so these are the different possibilities that would happen. I don't know what you would think, but I'm thinking, you know, I'm really, really leaning toward the fact that the governing body could be arrested. With the talk by Sanderson and some of the messages coming forth from the Watchtower that are suggesting that, you know, you're going to hear a lot of things, even though they're not sensible, just go along with the organization. I'm thinking that they realize that there's a possibility some of the governing body members could be arrested for covering up child sex abuse, or at least knowing about it. And why shouldn't they be arrested? If they knew about it and covered it up and swept it under the rug, they should be arrested. So that's a possibility right there that the governing body, I feel they will be arrested. That's my feelings. You might feel otherwise. But what do you really think? Well, what do you really think is the future of the Jehovah's Witness organization? Do you think it really will go on and on and on? Or do you think it's going to come to an abrupt end? What do you think? Will it be a slow death? Will it be a quick death? But I know one thing. When you're dealing with a cult, the end times of a cult always land up super dramatic. I mean, like over the top. Like what? Well, let's go with the Jim Jones and the People's Temple down in Guyana, South America, Central America. Let's go with that. That ended up in a dramatic, terrible situation. 900 people died. How about the Heaven's Gate? Reverend Applewhite. Well, yeah, that landed up in death for a lot of people. You know, just lay in bed here and take this pill, die, and the comet's going to come by and pick you up. People believed it. They died. So cults end, and the Branch Davidians. Let's talk about them. The Branch Davidians. What was it? 72 people or something like that, I believe, died. Terrible situation. But cults in their end times usually get very, very terrible situations happen in them. Could that happen in the Watchtower? What's going to happen in the Watchtower? Are they going to have a bad time? Are they going to have a dramatic end? I'm not sure. What do you guys think? How do you think the Watchtower is going to end? I'd like to get your thoughts on it. Some people might just say, no, Rick, they'll go on forever. They're just pulling the wool over people's eyes. They'll go on forever. What do you think?
Don't they have a whole corporate side that we never even hear about?
Well, Pixie, I'm going to tell you something. I don't share this too often, but I'm going to share it here tonight. There is a secret order of Jehovah's Witnesses, just like the Jesuits in the Catholic Church. They're kind of an aberrant group, a strange group. There is a secret order in the Jehovah's Witnesses that very few people know about. But I've had so many people call me here at the Six Grange and tell me about it, where they actually meet in the darkest circles, satanic circles. These are Jehovah's Witnesses that meet and they discuss demonic activity and occultism. Now, not everybody is aware of this. And even myself, I have to scratch my head and say, am I aware of it? But I'm telling you that I've had a number of people call me here and tell me that they have been to some of these secret meetings, occultic meetings. There's a dark side to the Watchtower that we don't see. There's a very, very sinister group of witnesses that are involved in all sorts of perversion and occultism that, you know, many are going to disagree with me tonight. There's many people that leaving the Watchtower and they of course, don't have any Christian flavor at all. They don't want anything to do with Christianity. But I have enough people have told me about this secret order that's existing. And I believe many of the governing body members are in this order too. It's just the average rank and file witness has no clue to it. I mean, I don't know if you guys heard of it or not. I don't like to bring it up because it raises a lot of controversy. But I'm almost willing in the next programs to come in the following weeks to talk a little bit about this secret order that I have come across that exists in the Watchtower. You're on with us. Go ahead. Who would like to speak?
I was also thinking about the corporate side that has to do with banking, and it's more like the advertising fiction of Mad Men, where they've got offices and lots of secretaries and lots of executives too.
Well, that's another side as well, Pixie. There's more, you know.
Because that goes way back, corporate.
Well, we're just touching the surface. It's only now that we're really getting into the real understanding of who the Watchtower is. And, you know, for years we had no idea. But we're starting to really, through the advent of the internet, through the advent of these conference calls, and through the advent of people calling in and sharing their stories, we're beginning to pick crumbs up on the trail. We're beginning to really pick these pieces up and examine them. There's more to this organization, this esoteric, secretive organization, than we have ever realized. But as we go forward, more and more information is going to come out, and we're going to be shocked. We're going to be shocked as we hear this. It's just totally deceptive. This organization has been
Mr. Farron?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with the fact that the Watchtower Society is not alone in running things, that there's other third and fourth parties and whatever not that's running things too that we don't know about, like secret entities and so forth that we don't know about and so forth. But how are they going to come down? They're probably going to come down just like they did in the past and all that. It's not a matter of if, it's just when. They're probably going to come down. They're going to probably reinvent themselves, reintroduce themselves into something else. And the Watchtower Society and that we know of right now are just going to fade away. That's what I theorize, and that's what appears like is going to happen. Because right now, they're still holding their own pretty good and all that. We wish they wouldn't, but they're holding their own pretty good as time. And hopefully, down the road, that's not going to be the case, and hopefully down the road that we'll be able to be there waiting for them.
Well, I like the way you sound, Ken. That makes very much sense to me. You know, it's always been a secret organization. It's always been that the term would be esoteric. Not everybody knows what goes on behind the curtains of the Watchtower, but we're starting to dismantle it. We're starting to bring the curtain down. Many of us are now starting to find out what really happens. And by all of the people that call into our program, we had 2 Bethelites tonight that call in, by just listening. Friends, just pick up some crumbs on the trail. You know, by listening to this program, listening to what people say, calling in from all over the world, you're able to pick up little tidbits of information. And let's try to put it together. Let's all work hard to really understand who this organization is and what their motive is. I believe we know what their motive is. They're trying to really bring people into this cult. It's a money motive, obviously. But what is the glue? What is the way they do this? How are they so masterful at it? That's what keeps me awake at night. How is this organization able to get people so loyal, so willing to obey everything the governing body says based on zero? Is it hypnotism? Is it some type of a mind control? I mean, we could discuss this till the cows come home, but the Watchtower is masterful at it. And we're going to.
I think there is that element. And remember, they're in New York, where advertising was more or less invented.
Yeah.
They had they had those, they had access to those docks next to, in Brooklyn. And typically that's a union thing, but they were able to ship anytime they wanted to from sort of like their own docks in a way.
Well, you're right, Pixie, and they've got away with so much, but now the internet is the great equalizer, and here we can meet.
And also, they had more countries. Somebody sent me a nice religious thing the other day, and this nice preacher had 23 countries, and I thought, well, that's lovely. He's got the good news. But the witnesses have, almost 300 countries? I don't think any other group except the Vatican has as many countries.
Yeah, they certainly do like to promulgate that information. They like to.
And they did a good thing with languages. Some of those language groups never saw their language ever printed.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that you consider here. They do print things in all these languages. They're doing everything they can to bring more and more people in. Like I say, just through the prison ministries, all of this. And, it seems like sometimes we are, barking up against a wall, but I don't feel that anymore. Years ago, I did.
I'm not a great fan of this globalism push, and they seem very global to me.
Yeah. Well, it's just, it's the other side of the coin. It's, they come on, they tell you how great they're doing. And then the other side of the coin is we come on and tell you that they're flunking. And, where they're a private organization, they don't have to really divulge much. So we have to kind of be like the CIA. We have to extract intelligence. And where do you extract intelligence? Well, you get it from Facebook, you get it from witnesses speaking up, you get it from people calling in here to the 6 screens, and you try to put this all together. But I really honestly feel, after doing this program for 16 years, that the Watchtower really is dead. It just hasn't fallen over yet. That's my feelings. I don't know how much further they can go. I don't know if a con man can be a con man forever. At some point, people figure out it's a con. And that's what's going on here in the Watchtower. Well, I want to thank everyone. I want to thank everyone for coming in here tonight to the 6 Screens JW World News. I can't believe it. I'm looking at the clock. It's 9:30. We got Heart to Heart coming up. But, I just want to tell everybody, if you're an apostate and you're an activist, keep up the good work. Lloyd Evans, Watchtower Escape, Mike and Kimmy, Critical Thinkers. There's a whole lot of them. Marcus out there. All of these people that are doing videos. All of the people doing these videos, just do me a favor. Keep spreading the word. And we can all look at, maybe we don't all agree totally with each other when it becomes, religious ideology, but it doesn't matter. Why can't we all be friends? Why can't we all be allies in exposing the Watchtower? So keep up the good work. If you're an apostate activist, keep it up. Keep waving that flag of victory. And listen, I want to tell you too, I tell you this every week, people still want to send money here to the 6 Screens. Don't do it. Save the money. Give it to somebody that can really, really use it. I don't want to collect any money for helping you. I don't want to put money into the equation. When you do that, all I look at is dollar signs. I don't want to do that. I want to help you for free. People help me for free. When I came out of the Watchtower, Randy Waters and Watchtower Information Service, I got it free. I don't want you to have to pay anything. So give it to somebody. If you want to send a donation, give it to somebody that can really, really use it. Even a Jehovah's Witness, do that for me. But you know what you could do for me? What you could do for me is like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube. And the more people that we get on YouTube, that means more and more witnesses will see this. So you can be very helpful in subscribing to YouTube, and that'll get more information out to the people that can really use this information, that is active Jehovah's Witnesses. So thank you for wanting to come in tonight. We don't in any way take anything for granted. We love our audience, and we want you to keep standing tall, waving that flag of victory. And as we always say, the last one leaving the Watchtower, by all means, turn off the new light. We're going to Heart. We got Angela and Dan Clark. They're on with us here, so let's go to Heart right now. Let's end this program. Stay with us.
Thank you, Rick.
Well, thank you, Jay.
You got it, kid. Keep it up every year. I love it.
Good.
You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society. And now, the end is near.
Every morning, the light keeps getting brighter as I wake up to the truth. And every day,